Hey everyone, I'm Danielle.
And I am Adam.
And welcome back to our second NYC themed speed build.
This week we are building Pearl Studios NYC. This is where a lot of Broadway shows have auditions, rehearsals.
You can even rent out the space if you'd like to for yourself and practice before your audition.
We spent a lot of time in this place over the last 4 years.
A lot of time auditioning, a lot of time waiting for auditions.
Lots of time waiting.
We thought we'd show you kind of what it looked like and what it felt like in The Sims 4.
Now, Pearl Studios and other rehearsal studios like it are really the central hub for the theater scene, not only just in New York City, but across the world.
Yeah, they have rehearsals and auditions for national tours, international tours, even cruise ships here. So it's really fun to see shows that you maybe grew up loving or Broadway shows that are opening next year rehearsing right next door to where you're auditioning.
Most rehearsal spaces in NYC have been closed for almost a year, so we thought we'd give you a chance to revisit, sit in those rooms again, wait for your name to be called.
If you miss it, or if you've never been here before, give you kind of a sneak peek behind the scenes at where all of these auditions happen.
And since we're recreating a central hub of the theater world, it feels really right to talk about big problems live performances facing that were there long before the pandemic shut the industry down.
America's ongoing problem with white supremacy and systematic racism are also deeply ingrained into the theater world. Live theater has a massive diversity and underrepresentation problem for marginalized communities.
For example, only 23.3% of equity contracts, acting jobs, went to people of color between the years 2016 and 2019, when almost 40% of Americans identify as people of color, according to the 2010 census.
The results from the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Report from 2020 is linked in the description box below if you want more information on how other communities were affected, such as women or people living with a disability. It's down there for you.
These problems lie far beyond just giving people jobs, especially when characters written for marginalized communities often rely on stereotypes.
Systematic changes to the theater world need to be made from bottom up and top down before Broadway and other live performances hit the ground running again.
It does so many communities harm to continue allowing white supremacy to rule an industry that is based on storytelling and human connection.
And here we have just finished our holding room. So for every audition, there is a holding room where you sign up on these two little lists here with your equity monitor at the front. If you are part of the actors union, you sign the union list. If you are not, you sign the non-union list.
And hopefully they get to see everybody by the end of the day.
And there's the audition room right next door. So this holding room with all the chairs is kind of like a waiting / prep room. If it's a dance audition, there's people scattered all over the floor, stretching.
There are 8 people doing their makeup in the mirror.
For sure, curling their hair, changing their outfit, or looking through your sheet music if you know you're gonna sing that day.
Yeah, you get to go into that little room and share your art, It can be a little nerve-wracking, of course, but usually the people behind the table are really friendly and really on your side. They want you to succeed. They want you to have an amazing audition so that they can cast the show and be done.
My first audition was actually a singing audition at Pearl Studios. It was the singing audition for Cats. It was 4 years ago. No, I didn't sing Memory. Adam came with me. It was my very first New York City audition. I still remember it was a tiny little audition room just like that one, and a tiny little holding room as well. And I remember it was raining outside. Nobody was there either, because if you don't know, Cats is a dance show. So there was literally nobody at my very first New York City audition, which I guess is good looking
That's
back
really
on
nice,
it.
yeah.
It wasn't overwhelming or anything, but it was underwhelming.
Underwhelming.
TBH. It was actually a bit of a relief that it wasn't jam-packed, and I actually got seen, which sometimes doesn't happen in auditions. Sometimes they don't get to you. And the Cats dance call that we both went to.
Yes, we went to the dance call the next week.
It was jam-packed.
Yeah.
I mean, we both
Cats
waited for
is
hours.
a dance show, so it makes sense, but it was definitely a fun dance call too.
It was very fun. Original choreography, so we both knew it. It was so much fun. And that, I feel was a real New York City audition experience.
You got to get your first one out of the way with a really chill...
low-key. Yeah, the dance call, we both waited for hours. You wait till the very end when they call your name, and then you do your thing, and then you dance, and then you leave. And sometimes you get an email asking you to come back. You got one pretty early on when we were auditioning.
Yeah, so one of the first shows I got to audition for when I graduated from college was Hamilton. I absolutely love Lin-Manuel Miranda. I think it's a great, great show, and I went to every call I could find for it. I went to the big open dance call. I went to some singing calls as well, and I had some singing appointments for callbacks. So you get an email. They try to set up an appointment time. So instead of going to a big open audition where everyone is trying to get seen on the same day, you have appointment times a lot of the time for your second time that they see you.
Right, so you don't have to show up at 7 a.m., sign up on the list, and wait till 2 to get seen. You just show up at 2:15 when you're scheduled.
Right, and they often give you a bunch of sides to learn. So you have
sheet music, scenes,
scripts. There's so much to learn and go through, and if you can get your hands on the script for the entire show, that's really nice because you can come in really prepared.
But sometimes if you're a little underprepared, they always have a front desk person here in this little lobby area who they sell coffee right behind the desk, and there's actually a little area right over here that we're going to build in a moment where you can print out sheet music. You can cut your headshot and resume if you forgot to do that, or staple them together if you forgot that as well. But the front desk person was always super helpful to us.
Super great. We actually just built a little elevator shaft because this floor that we're kind of basing this on was on the 4th floor. They also have studios up on the 12th floor too. So these views that you get in the rehearsal rooms are actually really fun to see, these big NYC buildings while you're waiting for an audition or about to go in.
Yeah, and kind of look outside when you're waiting around all day to get seen. And this is that little resume sheet music prep area that I was talking about.
Oh my gosh, so many resumes cut on that table right there.
Yeah, they have the computer on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side they would have one of those big kind of old-fashioned paper cutters, those really big ones that you can go
just chop away.
Yeah, and then they have this little table which always cracked me up. They had this little table right next to it, and then they had this massive plant. It was the tiniest table with the tiniest stools, and that plant, if you sat at this table, the plant was also sitting at that table with you. It was all up in your space.
It was in your conversation.
It was. It really was.
Especially when you are starting out your acting career, trying to get seen in New York City, there is a lot of time spent waiting around. So we are really thankful to these theater rehearsal spaces that make a little space where you can just hang out and wait and be a person.
And we are now finishing up this build with some bathrooms. You can definitely tell that this whole building, especially these floors, were built probably in the 80s and have been very well loved since then. But it was nice to kind of revisit these spaces that we did spend a lot of time in.
It's true. When you go to an audition, especially when you are just starting out, you spend more time waiting in the waiting room than you do in your apartment that day. So
100%.
These spaces, were kind of like home to a lot of us as we started our careers. So it's been fun to revisit that in this build.
And if you'd like to hang out with us more, we are on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 to 9 New York City time. We're currently playing The Sims on Mondays.
Yeah, give us a like or subscribe if you liked what you see. We have our Sims that we built on stream, and they are going to explore, maybe have a little audition.
And if you remember any details from spending tons of time in Pearl Studios, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to know what sticks out in your mind. And till next time,
2-Bit Streaming,
out.